Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw,
And I'm Lara Hayes.
and this week this week we're discussing season 1, episode 11, Landslide. So we'll be having a spoiler-free discussion in the beginning, and then a spoiler-filled one. So if this is your first time watching Wynonna and don't want to be spoiled, you don't have to worry about that until we get to the spoiler section, and we will warn you a lot, because I don't want anybody to get spoiled. Any announcements that we have for like season 3 and stuff like that will go in there, because I think we do have some fun discussion for that, for the spoiler section today. And with that, Lara, what was this episode about? Because I don't have a recap.
The Earp sisters welcome their newest guest. Bobo prepares for the poker spectacular as two unlucky revenants revive a pair of sinister twins.
All right, so tell me about the title.
Catherine, the title this week comes from the incomparable Fleetwood Mac. Lyrics and vocals by my girl, Stevie Nicks, and covered by basically every band under the sun.
Alrighty. I knew you had something. I knew there was something you needed to talk about with this title.
Everybody's just lucky that I can't sing. Otherwise, I would just break into my own rendition of Landslide, but I'm going to let that sit.
You know, after last episode, I think we really need to make sure we don't drive any listeners away, so that's probably a good call.
Yeah, word, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I've never heard you sing, so I can't be rude.
No, I think that's fair. I think you're pretty close to the truth there.
So. It's okay. That's why this isn't a musical podcast.
Yes.
Alrighty. So we've got some confirmation that is Willa, even though, Gus knew it. Wynonna kind of knew it. We kind of had an idea. But where would you like to start?
I would like to lament the fact that we did get an attack before the credits, but sadly no body part. And I'm starting to think maybe it's time that I stop counting. My average is just pitiful.
Yeah, it might be time to table that.
So sad.
Maybe you'll get lucky for season 3 or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I did put that in my note though. I have a no body parts note.
I'm not asking for the world here,
I know. I mean, you did get a pretty gruesome scene though.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah.
I mean, my note for that was just ew with the hotel scene, but
yeah, ew. That covers it. Yeah, ew.
We get some interesting revenants with the twins, because we get some weird Wynonna calls them the vampire twins, but they kind of have that kind of I don't know, a succubus kind of deal with them. It's Wynonna's response to vampires and succubuses, I think, or succubi. So. No, they're definitely interesting revenants.
Yeah, I don't care for them very much. They're not my favorite revs. I really liked the Shadow Assassin and stuff like that. But I do appreciate the moment that they have with Dolls, because of the reference to his power. They tell him that whatever is deep inside of him to let it out, and he says, "I try so hard not to." I thought that it falls in line with what Maddie told him, that he's in a battle for his soul. But Dolls doesn't really clue us in on his struggle with that until this scene, or confirm that it is a struggle, that he's, whatever this power is in him, whatever the source of it, he is actively fighting this thing. So I did really think that was a neat thing that we got.
Yeah, because we still don't know much about what's going on with him.
Nope.
I mean, we know he takes his, serum stuff, and it makes his eyes go a little lizardy. And it's something that, he's been told that there's, there's that struggle like you were talking about, and there's that power. But we still have no idea really what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the nods to that and everything. I think that was kind of an easy to miss moment too.
Yeah, almost a throwaway line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I honestly kind of like the moment that Wynonna has with one of the twins, where it's she almost gets her, and then she's like, "Sorry, you're not my type." I do kind of like that moment too. But yeah, that Dawes moment is a good one. It saves his life because they're, fighting over him, and it gives Wynonna a chance to come up and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And we get we're coming up. I mean, this is episode 11. It's a 13 episode season, so we're kind of rounding the bend as far as how the season's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a lot of like, oh, hey, let's set up for next episode, like with apparently the poker spectacular is kind of like a thing this episode, but Bobo's up to something. He tells Kreiderman that, he'll be in the wind in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our friend Juan Carlo, who just kind of shows up to turn Doc around a little bit. And he gives us some information and tells Doc that I only have 4 days until the solstice, until the door opens. And if it does, she will lose. So something happens on the solstice. So we're kind of getting set up for that, but we're not really sure what. We just know it's something Bobo related.
Mm-hmm. I love Doc's standoff with the kindly mechanic, Juan Carlo. Him pulling his gun and then, acting like he's thrown his keys in a fit of rage, to make sure that Juan Carlo's not a revenant. He can cross the Ghost River Triangle. So we know that's not it. But it was an adorable moment. And the man really should not be behind the wheel of a car ever. But this, the pep talk that, Juan Carlo gives to Doc, telling him that nothing hollows a man out faster than completing a mission. It's basically the same revenge is an empty pursuit, sort of thing that we hear again and again directed at Wynonna. So that was cool. Yeah,
it was. I mean, he's an interesting character, but yeah, I did really like Doc being like, oh no, I threw my keys.
Yeah.
And then once the second he crossed the boundary, it was like, oops. I have them right here. But I mean, how else are you going to get a guy across the boundary just to make sure he's not a rev?
Push him.
I mean, it was a little far to push him though. That's why he kind of had to get him to walk over there a little bit.
True.
Get him to follow him. It's like, hey, walk with me over here. I'm totally not going to murder you. Even though I just held a gun to you. Just trust me, random stranger.
You never go to a second location.
Exactly. Or the first one if it's in the middle of nowhere and there's just lots of space to go get murdered in.
Word. Yeah.
But yeah, Juan Carlo is a little bit of an interesting character. Mm-hmm. He's there's something definitely supernatural about him. I mean, he's kind of disappeared for a second and reappeared back in his truck. He's shows up with Wyatt's deputy badge, the one we see Doc throw in the fire.
He was referencing his associates. So he's, so whatever Juan Carlo is or is not, he's not the only one of whatever he is, I guess. So, yeah.
And in theory, he's one of the good guys because he just gave information to stop, to try to help out Wynonna, or so we think. We don't know. We know nothing. Except, he got Doc to turn around and head back into town just in time to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
So, with quite the arrival back into the just car breakdown and boom. I like that moment that Doc has, though. He's like, he said something about Juan Carlo not being a good mechanic. Hope Doc's alright.
Yeah, he's tough.
It's quite the cliffhanger. He's fine. He has internal longevity.
Exactly.
I'm sure nothing can go wrong there. It's fine. But yeah, definitely a lot of questions there with Juan Carlo. I guess we should probably tackle the Willa of this all.
Probably.
Just a little bit. Do we have to? Can we just make this a really short episode and not talk about her at all?
I feel like we need to talk about her. And I think the most interesting thing that we kind of got from her, well, we got a couple interesting things from her, all fairness, this episode. But one thing that I really enjoyed was that we see two Willas in this episode. The amnesiac, right? Can't remember anything. Okay. The newly returned sister. Wynonna gets that Willa. And Waverly gets the misplaced anger, hostile, and antagonistic Willa.
Yeah, you're right. We definitely see It's definitely two very different Willows we're dealing with right here. And she's mean to Waverly.
She is. And I have zero tolerance for that.
Same. Like, how are you mean to Waverly?
Makes no sense.
And it's just like nasty little subtle crap. Like, even that moment in the barn with Wynonna where she, like, you know, after that argument about, like, dolls and Black Badge,
mm-hmm.
you know, when Wynonna runs out to the barn and Willa follows and they kind of talk it out. And, you know, I get how, I mean, they're only a year apart. I get how you can be closer to a sibling that you're a year apart. Like, there's only a year difference versus one where there's like a 6-year difference, like with Waverly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different situation there. So I get how it's easier to have that, like, to want kind of that closeness with Willa.
Sure.
But it's just, you know, you don't have to be alone, or you're not alone anymore from Willa. It's like, she has Waverly. Like,
yeah,
go away. She has Waverly.
Yeah, I have like a really hard time with how starkly this episode casts Waverly in the role of the outsider. Like, that conversation, you know, she's not invited to it. She's eavesdropping, you know, she's excluded. And it breaks my little gay heart into a million pieces. But I do love that Dolls, you know, is talking to her after, and he makes her feel special and he makes her feel seen, you know, right before the execution squad shows up. Great job, Black Badge.
Ruin the moment. Well, it's not Black Badge, it's just that special ops team.
Oh, yeah, right.
That Kreiderman hired. It's like going, I can't resist correcting people. It's a really nasty habit of mine.
Well, I mean, I did just slander Black Badge, so it's probably a good correction.
I know. It's every so often it hits me how often it's a personality flaw I need to acknowledge every so often. But yeah, no, I like that moment with Alton Waverly, and I like, he gets so very few moments like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Waverly. They don't really get a lot of scenes together. Usually outside of, like, Nicole and Wynonna, we see Waverly kind of, you know, with Doc. We don't see a lot of Waverly and Dolls with stuff like this. But no, I like that moment where he tells Waverly it's okay not to like her.
Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, it's a very nice moment where he validates her feelings and everything.
Yeah. And this is not something new, you know, like Waverly, the first memory that she shares of Willa in the episode is that she used to steal her bear and rip its eyes out. You know, so Willa, this isn't coming out of nowhere. You know, Willa was not Big Sister of the Year.
And even, like, there's an element of her not even wanting to believe that that's Willa. You know, with how she kind of, she doesn't say Willa used to steal him. She says, my older sister used to steal him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, she doesn't, you know, it's not Willa. It's not like you used to. It's like my older sister. And even Wynonna's like, oh, I'm sorry. And Waverly's just like, it wasn't you.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's the difference in that relationship that we're shown right from the bat. But Willa is just mean to Waverly, because it's like, even Waverly shows her that box that she has, her Rilla box with the death certificate, that she had to keep to remind herself that it was real because she was so little. Yeah,
couldn't remember.
And that's another element I kind of relate to as well. You know, they didn't have the body. They had to fill the coffin with sandbags. And there's something, especially when you're little, it's, you know, it makes it easier to deal with when you can see that, like, a body or whatever. For some people, it makes it a lot easier. You know, it's like, okay, this person is no longer with us and stuff like that. And I have like visual evidence of that.
Closure.
Yeah. I mean, it is an element of closure. Some people can't deal with that, which is fine. But it's like, especially as a small child, it's like she had to keep this. And of course, Willa just as mean is like, oh, that must have been so hard for you. With and it's like, you know, Waverly didn't do anything to you. And just like, Willa has that line, she tells Waverly, it's like, you guys killed me. It's like, no. you're still alive. Nobody killed you. And it's like, they couldn't, like, they believed that she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go off of, even Gus mentions, you know, because Wynonna carries so much guilt throughout this episode that she, you know, it comes up a lot, you know, feeling guilty that they stopped looking for her. And Gus is like, we searched for 6 months and then found a bloody nightgown,
Mm-hmm.
like a bloody piece of her nightgown. Like, we had to assume that she was gone.
That's one of my favorite moments of this episode, is the moment between Gus and Wynonna in the kitchen, and the way it adds to the backstory, right? 6 months of searching. Wynonna, we learn, you know, like, they found that right after she was released from St. Victoria's. So presumably she was probably there for most of that time. It's a very long time for a child. And then, you know, she gives us this image of, you know, a blood-soaked, you know, child's nightgown discovered on a Thursday. You know, Gus gives us a glimpse of what it means to live as an adult in a town like Purgatory. The disappearances, the murders, the missing kids, the manhunts, just like the stuff she's seen and been through.
Yeah, I mean, in a town like Purgatory, when you know something's right, you know a child's been missing for 6 months, and then you find that, you're going to stop. Like, that's just, but no, that's a really good moment with the two of them, with her trying to, you know, help Wynonna and alleviate some of this guilt, because it's, Wynonna's feeling really, really guilty. And we saw a bit of that at the end of the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And she's carrying a lot of that.
We also get this, like, they set the characters up very nicely, you know, like, they don't just walk Willa back into the show and then they're like, and here, the big sister, the prodigal daughter, you know, whatever. They're like, she's returned, blah, 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 whatever. Like, they don't do that. We see these, like, core attributes of people sort of reflected back to us, like, through Willow's return. We see more of Waverly's resistance to change. You know, this is an upset, right? Because it's stirring up her life in a way that she can't control, and Waverly's not a fan of that. Wynonna isn't doing backflips, you know, and I think that's because she's been living with blaming herself for Willa and Ward for so long. You know, she gave up hope, and so, you know, we're seeing that guilt and that, you know, heartbreak and just all of the, you know, the horrible trauma that she suffered. And, you know, Waverly very much views Willa as an outsider or an uninvited guest. You know, she's very particular about who she surrounds herself with. And Gus is really the only person who accepts this reunion happily and with open arms. But a lot of that is probably more to do with the fact that Gus is suffering from that guilt of stopping looking, of, you know, like this vanished child, and, you know, and all of that stuff. So that it made it so much more dynamic. Do you know what I mean? Like, to have all of these characters reacting in a totally different way to what should be happy news.
Yeah. And I mean, even, like a little bit of a layer on top of that, Wynonna is also dealing with that insecurity of, you know, she's now taken the mantle of the heir, knowing that it belongs to Willa, and feeling like, I don't necessarily think I want to call it like imposter syndrome, but maybe it is a little bit.
Sure.
Where it's just like she's feeling very unworthy. She's feeling, you know, it's like Dolls has to remind her, like, you know, you're the one I want here. You know, you're the one who's been doing this job and doing it well. You know, you're the Earp I want here. Dolls is very good in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Wynonna's dealing with, a lot of that insecurity as well. Like, just dealing with, like, I didn't want this. It wasn't supposed to be me. And, you know, now Willow's here, and, you know, we didn't look for her, and I've taken her, you know, job, quote. And, you know, there's a lot, but no, I enjoy how, I agree with you. I like how they had this set up with experiencing the different characters reacting. Yep.
And you touched on something else that stood out to me. That's, you know, the target practice moment, Dawes pulls up and he asks, like, is she a good shot? And Wynonna gives this defensive, like, you mean better than me, right? And I think what we're seeing, like, more so than Waverly, Wynonna is glad to have Willa back, but Wynonna is also, like you said, right now she's special. She's chosen. This is something that we saw Waverly struggle with early in the season. Waverly is not chosen, and she has to reconcile her jealousy of Wynonna, right? Whether it's a curse or not, like, there's something that sets Wynonna apart from everyone else. Yeah. So now it's Wynonna's turn to do that. It's her turn to do the same. Willa is back. Willa is the heir. So where does that leave Wynonna, who was just starting to embrace this destiny?
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with for our dear Earp sisters. It's so many layers. It's because you're right. I mean, it's just. And it makes it that much better as far as the storytelling goes. Yeah. You can't always just introduce a sister and expect it to just kind of be smooth sailing and, like that sister's been there the whole time or something.
Right. And, reunions are complicated. Yeah. They are.
Yeah. Also, Willa doesn't know what happened to her. So it's like she can't even have that, like, she's sitting there, like, comforting Wynonna. Or, wrapped up in aspects of this, like, oh, now I'm, I have to think about what it means to be an Earp, and wrapped up in, well, this is what I learned about what it was to be an Earp, while knowing she's got a huge gap in her memory.
Right.
So that's not great either.
I did think it was really funny when they were, like, going through her room, and she was, like, looking at the horse figurines, and she was like, I guess all little girls like horses, because, like, I'm with Wynonna, like, personally, I don't like horses. Like, never have. They're, like, big, scary dogs to me. Like, I just, no part of me, like, wishes I had a horse. But I did think it was really funny that, like, right after that, she reaches for that switchblade.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that would be really jarring, especially if, like you didn't have your memory. But like all I could think was like, now, see, 6-year-old Lara would have been in heaven if you'd have handed her a switchblade. Like that I can get behind. Switchblades for all little girls.
Actually, like, not gonna lie, I mean, I do like horses. I don't think I ever wanted to, like, own one, but I like riding them when I can. And, so I do like horses to a point. I don't think I ever wanted one. But yeah, with my Xena obsession that started as a very young child, I probably would have been on board with a switchblade too.
Oh, yeah.
And because I was a Girl Scout, I learned how to safely handle knives.
Sure, yeah. It was just my papaw, but yeah.
Yeah. I just remember it being it was kind of cool because, we did this whole thing where it's like we made like little like big knives, and then it's like, they put lipstick on the blade, so to teach us how to like open and shut it and work on it without like handling the blade and stuff like that. That's all I remember. Sorry, that's a random anecdote. Okay. Girl Scouting.
No, that's really funny because I think I was like 7 and my grandfather just handed me a Swiss Army knife and he said, always cut away from yourself, go outside. And so I did. And that was all I got. And like somehow that was less than enough that like I never hurt myself. But he probably should have covered a few basics because I also got into huge trouble for taking it to school for show and tell. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. I thought the teacher would like it. She didn't.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine something like that happening nowadays?
They call SWAT on me.
I know. Be like locking down and you'd be like, wait, no, I didn't do anything.
It was show and tell.
That'd be terrible, but oh my God.
Yeah, it'd be real bad.
It's kind of amazing though.
Sorry. Anyway.
Here's your random knife anecdotes from Catherine and Lara.
From our childhood, no less, yeah.
And some questionable grandparenting techniques. But I mean, on one hand, the Switchblade is a little bit like, we get another glimpse into Ward in this episode.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was a nice transition that kind of left me there with the Switchblade.
Yes. Yeah. My crazy grandfather. Now let's talk about Ward. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Transitions. So yeah, we get you know, some interesting bits with Ward. We already kind of knew that Ward was trying to prepare the girls early on. You know, he talked about the revenants and stuff like that. But yeah, he kind of very harshly taught Ward how to use Peacemaker. Or sorry, Ward taught Willa how to use Peacemaker, kind of very harshly. And
Yeah.
you know, he gave her a damn switchblade, and it's like, you know, had to prepare for the revenants. And she mentions that maybe he deserved getting shot because he knew the attack on the homestead was coming.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing coming from Willa, and it's something that Wynonna was definitely not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ward's a little shady.
I thought it was like a really bold choice too, because like we see Wynonna in the yard shooting Peacemaker with Willa, and she hands the gun off, and we see her take a swig from, you know, her whiskey bottle, and then it cuts to Ward doing the exact same thing, which is something that Waverly has commented on before, you know, like sort of equating Wynonna to their father for her drinking habits. And, you know, after all of these like weeks of, you know, hinting at Ward being, you know, not so great a dude, like the memory of him that Willa shows us really doubles down on that. You know, it's 4 a.m. She's got school in the morning, and, you know, he drags her out of the house for target practice, you know, and he's well into the bottle that he's tipping back. And, you know, he basically just, you know, using scare tactics on a cursed child, like Father of the Year, you know, like, whoa.
And then possibly set them up for an attack or something. He knew it was coming.
Right. Possibly the whole thing was a setup. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't see or too many W names, I swear to God. We don't see Wynonna.
We're working with a lot.
I know. It's the Dolls of Doc, Waverly, Wynonna, Willa. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
We don't see Wynonna sit with that a lot either. And I mean, you know, she's probably got to be thinking a little bit about what Jack said, what the Jack and I said, you know, a couple episodes ago.
He liked Ward.
Yeah, and that, you know, they worked well together or whatever. So, you know, that's got to pop into her head at some point when she's reflecting on what Willa has told her.
Mm-hmm.
And even we get another back on Willa, I guess, a little bit.
You sound so sad about it, too.
She's mean to Waverly, okay?
I know. Hey, yeah, I get it.
How dare? And, like, multiple times, because, like, she remembers the night that she's taken, and, you know, she has that moment of vulnerability when they're sitting after, you know, she tells Waverly that, you know, they killed her. She remembers the night she was taken and tells Waverly, you know, like, she feels faint and she's feeling, like, kind of weak and vulnerable, and she reaches for her, but Waverly pulls away and ends up causing Willa to, like, run out of the house. And it's like, because that was another moment from Waverly where it's like she's really not down to just be, like, welcoming Willa back with open arms.
Right.
Like, she's really just kind of like, nope. And I mean, like, Willa's a monster. You know, she doesn't care about Waverly getting shot at the end either. She's too concerned about the dude running away.
Waverly got shot.
I know, she got shot. God. My first watch of this, when Waverly first got hit, I was like, oh no!
I did the same thing. I pointed at my TV, like my TV was sentient, and I said, no, like at my TV, like, or like I was, you know, yeah, like I was disciplining a dog or something. No.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely unexpected, and, you know, she needs, I love her little sawed-off shotgun.
I do too.
But she really needed something else. Like,
she needed an automatic. Yeah, right about then.
I mean, even just a regular, like, a rifle.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, her little sawed-off shotgun is very nice, and I enjoy her, you know, her yell out the window,
Yeah.
Um,
And the poor homestead, dude, like,
I
it
know.
sees enough wreckage to give 1630 Ravello Drive a run for its money. And as far as I know, the Earp girls don't have an annoying carpenter in their pocket, so I don't know how they go about these repairs.
They're handy. They fix it up themselves. Yeah, it is nice that they keep the automatic weapons in the barn though. But yeah, I think Waverly needs to upgrade her shotgun.
It is nice.
Because, I mean, sawed-off shotguns, nice and small, but they are very much not great for what she was trying to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, she needs an upgrade. She needs one of those, she needs the little automatic rifle thing. I don't know guns sometimes. I know guns, but
I don't know
when it gets to the automatic rifle-y ones, that's when you lose me. So I
maybe if my papaw had passed me a Glock at 7, but that's not what happened. So
that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think I shot my. Yeah, I think handing a Glock to a 7-year-old is a little bit much, though.
Irresponsible.
A little bit. Just look at Ward Earp. He handed, he handed a handgun to a 13-year-old, which is actually okay. Oh God, I'm gonna get so many hate tweets for that. If you know how to use it, it's okay. She had a parent and everything. He was drunk, but it was. I take it back.
Yeah, you're just digging this hole.
I know. Sorry, I'm going to get an angry tweet or a message.
Willa's drink party of 1 was pretty funny, where she tells that revenant that she was living in a cult in the woods, yeah. And she drank dandelion tea, and his response was everything. His darling, that's weird. Even by revenant standards, a Canadian Coachella cult is just too weird.
Yeah, a little bit. I have to say that bar scene, from the second Run Amok starts playing.
Yeah.
It was just such perfect music. I love the scene so much with the bar fight and just all of it. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite scenes, just watching that whole thing play out.
Yeah, it's epic.
Yeah, and Waverly, the best little getaway driver.
Yeah. It is funny that Willa is the heir for a record 18 hours or something, and she manages to go viral in that time. Who would have thought that Wynonna was the discreet one?
I know. I mean, granted, Wynonna did shoot somebody in a very public space, but, I mean...
Oh, yeah, the club. Yeah, she did.
But, I mean, there was more time between episode 1 and 2 than there was between Willa, finding out about, getting her memory back and everything. So there's a little bit more time there. But, she also didn't, she shot him, but she didn't kill him. It very clearly was this dude going into the ground. So, yeah, she's a viral Earp.
Yeah.
That leads Bobo right to her.
Bobo? Saving Willa? What is that about?
And Willa saving Bobo.
Right?
So, there's something interesting going on there, because he sees her in the he sees her in the video, and he gets angry. We get the revenant eyes, and he breaks the phone. But then he ends up once he finds out, he runs off to the homestead and saves her life. So very violently. He doesn't just
I think he does everything violently. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that was taking a rock and he smashed that guy's skull to bits.
Yeah, it was violent.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was very violent. And then and then Willa saves him for, no discernible reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get that he saved her, but he's still a revenant. And we have to kill all revenants, screw Black Badge, I'm gonna go kill people in a public place, If her thing was about, death to all revenants, you think she wouldn't have stopped Wynonna from killing Bobo.
Right.
But there's something about him. And she asks Wynonna to tell her everything that she knows about Bobo.
Yep.
And we even, after the attack, Bobo drags Kreiderman, and that's how we find out Kreiderman was behind the attack. And he's pissed. Bobo is not happy, and Kreiderman's like, I thought I was doing what you asked, getting rid of the air, getting rid of getting rid of dolls and stuff like that. And Bobo, like, kind of, I mean, I think it would have been more disturbing had he ordered him to die than he's just like the way he's like, just throw me a party. And it's like, oh God, Bobo, what are you up to? But yeah, he's not happy with how things are.
No.
Oh, dude. You had nothing else on your list? Nothing at all?
Mm-mm.
Not even a moment at the end after Waverly gets shot when Waverly and Wynonna are at a table?
I've got that in quotes.
I just feel like, okay. We'll talk about it with quotes.
No, talk about it now. It's cool.
I'm just saying, I figured that was a notable enough thing to be like during regular discussion, so I was a little concerned when you said you didn't have anything else.
I captured it.
That moment with Wynonna and Waverly, that do chicks moment, it's a pretty great moment, and
it is.
You think that maybe Wynonna might pick up on something about, what's going on with Waverly? There's the look on her face. She's like, okay. But we don't know if she did or did not.
I don't think so.
But yeah, so we get that nice little, like, it was kind of like the most casual thing that Waverly could have said to try to test the waters, I think, without actually, like, making it, like, I think she made it, I don't know. She might have made it too subtle. I don't know. Especially with, like, earlier when
How is that too subtle? I don't think so. I don't think that's subtle at all. Like,
apparently.
That's what makes it so funny. Dudes dig scars. Like, she's obviously, like, saying, like, men will be sexually attracted to your scar. And Waverly is like, yes, but also women? Like, yeah.
I meant to settle for Wynonna, but yeah.
But it still makes no sense. Like, this is the gayest thing you could say.
I know, and it's like Waverly's trying to test out the waters, and like Wynonna barely reacts.
Just misses it totally. I love it.
I know. I just realized there was something that I wanted to add about it, but I have to save it for the spoilers.
Okay.
Because there's a look on Wynonna's face that tells you that maybe she got it.
Yeah.
That maybe she picked it up and was just going to be like, okay, cool. So, yeah, I felt that was worthy of a non-quote section mention.
Fair enough.
Now that I shame you for your note organization.
It's a quote. It goes in quotes.
I know. I just have little stuff, like Waverly and Wynonna, that scene with them coming, we talked about it a little bit, but I just really love that scene with them busting out of the barn with the automatic rifles. Like, it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Also, like, Willa talking about them playing in the barn with gummy bears, like, we would dance them across the beams and into their mouths, and it's like, that's just unsanitary. I hope they didn't actually touch the beams.
Also unsafe.
Oh, yeah, that too. I don't know. I feel like if you grow up, like, on a farm or homestead kind of like that, when you've got a barn, that you kind of learn how to play in it properly.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. As I get a whole bunch of messages. I fell out of a rafter once because I was a child in a barn or something.
Unattended.
Sorry, as I shame everybody who like fell out of something as a child because they were screwing around in a barn. No, it's fine.
What's really going to trip you out are the people that tweet you because they choked on a gummy bear when they fell.
I too ate gummy bears in a barn. No, it's just the touching that, like, it's just the, play with them on the beams. Like, no, that's dirty. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, it's fine.
Yeah, you do have a germ thing.
I do. It's terrible. I wash my hands so many times. I think I don't have anything worth, like, mentioning a lot. Oh, yeah, Kreiderman gives Bobo something, plumb bobs, kryptonite, not really sure what it is. But the green little...
Yeah. Huge uncut emeralds, sure.
Not sure what it is, what purpose it is, but he does do that, so I might as well mention that. We don't know why, but they exist. I think that was everything on my list, though, outside of my spoiler stuff.
Yeah, mine too, other than quotes.
Alrighty, so let's do quotes.
I really liked, what are you and Nicole best friends now?
Yeah.
Harold, they're lesbians. Like, come on.
But the look on Waverly's face, like after she says that, it's very much like, I don't know, it's an interesting look from Waverly after she says that. But and she just leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, I just like this. The whole poker spectacular thing throughout the episode just, I think, kills me every time. It's just like, what is a poker spectacular?
Yeah.
It is exactly what it sounds like. Oh, and like Waverly, like right after Willow wakes up, is still really shaken, doesn't quite understand what's happening, is still trying to wrap her head around everything, just talking about, I killed a man, he got pulled to the ground, and Waverly like deadpanning, he didn't get pulled into the ground, you sent him to hell, and just the look that Wynonna gives her. Like tactless Waverly coming in.
Take a break. I really liked Mrs. Hanson called my diorama an aberration. I stayed up all night crafting those little paper mache demons.
That was next on my list. So good. Juan Carlo telling Doc, if you're as ornery with your car as you are with strangers, I can see why it quit on you.
I'll see your Juan Carlo and raise you kids today with your iPods and your net pics.
Yes. And it's so great because, like, Doc's struggling with all that stuff. He has no idea, what well, he might have an idea what Netflix is. We don't know what the Earp sisters have been up to. I think they've probably been a little bit busy. Maybe they haven't had time to show him Netflix. Oh, and with the little Revenant ladies, with Wynonna, honey, I'm flattered, but for a whole whack of reasons you're not my type.
Yeah.
And then, like, after she, like, hits her or something like that, stupid, sexy hair porn. It just makes me laugh.
I really like her, yo, Miss Congeniality.
Oh, and Wynonna, when they walk in the bar, find Willa. I hate it when I'm right. What? You love being right. I mean sober. I hate it when I'm sober.
Then she grabs that beer. I know we've already talked about it, and it's a love to hate it line, but that that must have been really hard for you line is just, it's fantastic. I know it's an aggressive line, but Natalie Krill, who plays Willa, just slays the menacing delivery. Like, it's absolutely chilling, and it's just such a 180 shift. It's so sudden. Like, you're as taken aback by the hostility as Waverly is.
Yeah, props to Natalie Krill.
Yeah.
For her acting in this episode, because it is really...
Yeah, for real.
She does a really good job. So, yeah, it is a love to hate it line. And that moment with Dolls and Waverly, no matter how many Willows come back, we're still going to need you, Earp. And then, you called me Earp. Yes, I did. Don't let it get to your head. And then he follows, yeah, and there's only 3 of you, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. And of course, we have the eat eaters line. It's just so funny. And then after she gets shot, I think I got a little bit shot. Her delivery for that one was pretty good, too.
Yeah, that was good.
For little Waverly. And we already talked about it, but the last one I had on my list was the do you think it'll scar? I love that line. I actually have a shirt that says "You Chicks." It's a great con photo shirt.
I think that's one of my favorite fandom shirts.
It's great. It's really just a great con shirt. I think I wore it to Pride once too.
It works.
It really does. It's
a versatile shirt.
So many layers too. It could have, so many different meaning. It's great. Like, I enjoy it. So, yeah, that was everything. Well, I had one more, but I'm going to bring it up later. That was everything I had on my quotes.
Yeah, mine too.
One of these days you'll have more than me.
One day.
Alrighty. So I guess that wraps up our spoiler-free discussion. So thanks to everybody for listening, and thanks to everybody who continues to share the podcast when they listen and everything. We know it makes it a little bit difficult with us not being on iTunes and stuff, so we do really appreciate it when we get those retweets and everything, because it does help us out a lot. And Lara, where can they find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at @RSMayfair.
And you can find me on Twitter at CMeushaw. That's at CMEUSHAW. You can find the podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast. And you can find the 4YE Twitter at 4_Y_E. And both of those, it's the number 4. So you can check out anything that Lara and I have written that, I've got some Wynonna Earp recaps on there. We both have a bunch of other pieces that are not Wynonna Earp related, but still worth reading at 4YE, so you can check out our stuff there. So after our super awesome commercial, courtesy of the Earp Fiction Addiction podcast, after that commercial, we will start our spoiler-filled discussion. So if you do not want to be spoiled, make sure you shut off the podcast after our commercial and check out that podcast. So they're some cool people. They made us a commercial, and it's kind of fun to have it to use as a transition. So if you are leaving us, then we will see you next time for episode 12. If you are staying with us, then just give us a little bit, and we'll be with you for our spoiler-filled section.
Thanks, guys.
Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Alrighty. So we're going to start our spoiler-filled discussion, which includes spoilers for the rest of Season 1, all of Season 2, and any Season 3 speculation. So if you do not want to stick around for that, make sure you turn off the podcast. Otherwise, you're gonna be spoiled. So since we last recorded, the Season 3 trailer dropped. And there's some stuff to talk about with it. It's a little bit darker than our Season 2 trailer was.
Yeah, edgier.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of picks up the tone from the Season 2 finale.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get a little bit of a darker tone there. You know, there's a lot going on. It looks like Waverly gets put in danger a few times.
As per usual.
I know. We see a couple of new faces. Mm-hmm. None of them are Anna Silk or Zoe Palmer.
Sadly.
I know. It was incredibly sad. So we don't get our Lost Girl ladies in a trailer yet. But yeah, we see some new faces. One of them is a cowboy-looking dude that kind of looks like a decent antagonist who may or may not be Sheriff Clutie. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what the good demon Bulshar looks like. So he could be taking a more human form like that, or that could be somebody different. One of the things I did find really interesting was the one clip we got of that dude with the soldier behind him.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm wondering if that's the Black Badge returns in an interesting way thing that we got teased at Lexicon.
I hope so. I got a lot of questions for them.
Yeah, a little bit. But that was some of the big trailer stuff that I had. Did you have anything that I'm forgetting? I mean, we get some White Hot in the trailer.
No, I know Twitter tells me that there was a potato. I saw the potato myself, but Twitter keeps telling me about the potato. So I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I also saw it.
Yeah, Twitter has stopped telling me about the potato as I muted the word potato.
I am so close. Oh my God.
So yeah, there's somebody licking a potato, and for some reason
we loved it. We loved it, yeah.
In the minute-and-a-half clip that shows a whole slew of stuff. That's the one thing that the fandom pulled out for some ungodly reason.
I love it though, because fandom's so unpredictable. You never know what they're gonna do, and so it's kind of funny that this ended up being a thing, just because of course it is in fandom.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I sounded like a curmudgeon-y dick. I didn't mean to. It just kind of like floored me that was the one thing that everybody kind of ran with, considering like the stuff that we did get in the trailer and stuff like that. No, I'm not trying to be like a curmudgeon-y jerk, because it's the world is a crappy place. So find joy in what you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was what the one thing that the fandom took and ran with from the trailer, the potato. And again, for season 2, I mean, it's not like we got another cheerleading clip like we did last year.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure people took and ran with that last year.
Well, who wouldn't, yeah.
I'm still so pleased that episode aired on my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that was I wanted to mention the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I should have written down more stuff to talk about because I'm pretty sure there was more stuff to talk about, but
it would all be super speculative at this point too, so
yeah. Well, speculation is fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the trailer somehow, I will make sure I retweet it from the Make Your Peace Twitter. I will try to remember to do it the second we get off of here. So you can check out the Make Your Peace Twitter for it. Because I don't know, based on when this will go up, I'm not sure if it'll be easier to find somewhere else. You could probably Google it, but if you're kind of near 4YE, then you can pull it from there. But yeah, so Matt, I don't think we have any other season 3 news.
I don't think so.
So, the trailer showed us the first look at Mama Earp. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. See, I just needed to keep dragging that on, and I would have gotten there. Because, we get our first look at Megan Follows as Mama Earp, and she's holding Peacemaker both shots. So, that's something noteworthy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what's going on there. With that, I think let's go into our spoiler discussion of the actual episode. So, where would you like to start with this?
I thought it was, Wynonna tells Willa about the demons, and Willa asks, directly if there are angels. And the Waverly angel theory is well loved in this fandom. I figured you would remember better than me. Is this the first time that angels are, mentioned on the show? That word is used?
The downside to having spread out our first season recordings as we have done is I cannot say with confidence that it is.
Okay.
The honest answer is I don't remember. I could probably look at my notes because I would have noted any angel mentions from previous recordings.
It's cool. Nothing really stood out to me either. Nothing stands out to you?
No.
Okay. She asked it so pointedly too. So that was another thing that really stood out to me that I thought was neat.
Yeah, it's a very pointed mention. It's not the first mention. We had one a few episodes ago. Sorry, because I did, me, I did just go and look it up. Yeah, it was episode 7. Dolls tells Wynonna, you don't become immortal by making deals with angels. You have to go to the other guys for that.
Okay. Still not quite as pointed as this was, but right. Yeah. But it was a mention.
It's not the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the first, but it is, you're right, it is a very pointed, do angels exist kind of deal.
Right.
So, it's our first, really notable one, so you're right there. You are. I legitimately could not remember. It's all getting lost and, combining together and
preparing for season 3 and everything else, yeah.
And like I said, we've spread this out significantly enough where I don't remember what we talked about a few weeks ago, so so much going on. But yeah, I had that on my list too. It was actually the thing I added earlier because I forgot to add it to my spoiler list. We also, Dulce has that mention about when he gets the DNA test done, he tells Wynonna he's got a buddy in the forensics lab who did a no questions asked favor for him. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if that buddy is Jeremy.
Oh, yeah.
So, because we kind of know that Jeremy would pretty much do anything for him,
Yeah. Good call.
Just a little bit. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's the case. And then the other thing that I had a couple other things. I need to learn to write this stuff down. We get the Dolls' power discussion. Mm-hmm. We know he becomes the big dragon, so they're picking up on his, cool, not big dragon, but we're picking up on his, little dragon power thing. Got that serum stuff going on, courtesy of BBD, so.
Bobo has an odd way of showing his affection. Here's proof that Willa is back home with her sisters, and he crushes his cell phone, for joy. I don't know. And like, maybe he was worried that she wouldn't help him now that she was back with Wynonna, and all his careful brainwashing would be for naught.
It is terribly convenient, though, that his lead pops up 4 days before he meets her.
Right in the nick of time.
I know. It's almost like it was like planned, like written that way or something. But yeah, it's awful convenient. You're right, though. That is an interesting, on a rewatch, knowing about Bobo and Willa, it's a very interesting reaction.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it could also be like she was right here. I had her right, like, I could have been right here. And
true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Bobo's obnoxiously layered. We see him pick up that rock with his telekinesis, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I understand that some rocks are magnetic and have certain metals and stuff like that in them.
Iron ore or whatever.
It was interesting. But yeah, I mean, he had his overreaction to beating up the dude who went after Willa makes a lot more sense too on a rewatch, but because that's a little bit a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And we know the crystals that Kreiderman gives Bobo are for the stuff that's being made next episode that, makes everybody sick.
Mm-hmm.
With the champagne and the party and everything. I'm so excited for next episode.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I really like that episode. Not just because of the formal wear. So excited. Anyway. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of spoiler stuff. Do you have anything else?
No, we could talk about Juan Carlo, but I mean, we really hardly knew right? Like,
yeah,
we had so many questions for him, and I mean, we basically know at his end what we know about him now. He's some sort of like balancing force kind of deal, So yeah, that's like we just don't have much. Yeah.
The only weird thing about it is, in theory, Doc should have recognized Juan Carlo because they were in the same town at one point.
Yeah, he was really drunk though, like every day. So maybe,
sick with his, syphilis or TB. Sorry, not syphilis.
TB, yeah.
I forgot about Juan Carlo too. See, what is the point of putting a spoiler section on my notes if I forget to put half the stuff in there?
I mean, there's not a ton to say about him. Just it was, like the first time that we got to meet him, and
and all of his mystery. Oh, that was one thing. I did have another quote on my list that I just wanted to bring up. I did that the interaction that Willa and Wynonna had, where they're talking about the curse and stuff like that. It's in that same line that are there any angels? And Willa asks, like, how can you think this is funny? And Willa asks her, Willa says, you hate having to do this. And she looks at her, and Wynonna looks at her and said, what would it make me if I didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And especially knowing where Willa ends up going, it's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of looking back at it, because I think it is a very important distinction. We get a really important distinction with Wynonna and Willa by the end of the series, or by the end of the season, not the series. But I think it kind of starts around this conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is where it first starts. Because then later in the episode, of course, we get that, her explaining, you can't just go around shooting people and stuff like that. And her kind of wrapped up in Ward kind of did some damage.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of damage. Willa didn't really have a chance. And I know we came on really hard on her in this episode. And I will continue to do so. But she didn't really have much of a chance.
No.
With that delightful thought, I don't have anything else.
No, that was it for me. Let's end it on a high note.
Whee! Alrighty, so thank you once again, everybody who stuck around and listened to our spoiler discussion. Like I said before, we will see you next time for our discussion of episode 12, where we get to talk about a party. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.